Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again today on yet another time of Leaders Connect series. Thank you for being with us today. Hi, Stella. You want to say hi to people?
Hi.
Hi, all right, thank you. I'll go back for us, okay?
That was the beeping sound of my tablet.
Okay. All right, so children, gotta love them. So thank you so much for joining us today on yet another Leaders Connect series. If you remember last week, we talked about procrastination and we introduced you to this 90-day journey that we will embark together as we tackle, defeat, and overcome procrastination. Because I can tell you, all of us have struggled with procrastination in one way or the other at one point or the other. So with that being said, we will continue with the same today. We do have some mystery guests in our studio today, so stay tuned for that. But before we introduce who they are, I would like to invite a lovely lady seated next to me here to tell us a little bit about herself, any experience with procrastination, and introduce our guest. So hi, Elsie.
Hi, Daniel.
How are you?
Thank you. And hello, our mystery speakers who will not respond. Welcome, everybody, and we're so delighted that you have joined us here again for another session of leadership, or rather Leaders Connect series. And I am a witness, or I'm a victim. I've fallen short of completing my tasks on time. And therefore, I've suffered procrastination. And every now and then, I still fall back to that old pattern. And so it's a journey. And it's something that I keep working on, and I keep reminding myself, especially when you're in a home where there aren't very many procrastinators. I try to also keep up and of course, practice what I teach. So before we continue, let me just say that the thing about procrastinating is it feels really good, and it gives you that temporary satisfaction at that moment when you know you don't have to do something. But the thing is, thereafter, it leads to worry. It leads to wasting time. It leads to you worrying about, oh my, will I have enough time? Will I meet the requirements? Will I X, Y, Z, whatever the reasons you might have? And so the best thing to do is to not procrastinate. Just form the habit to do it and do it now. Say to yourself, do it now. And that's a line that I stole from my son, and we'll hear more about that later on. So instead of procrastinating, jump into what needs to be done right away, because the fact of the matter is sometimes later becomes never. So every day you spend procrastinating is another day you spend worrying. And so do it now and move on with your life. All right, so introducing our mystery speakers today. We are so delighted to have two amazing speakers, guest speakers in the house today, and they will deliver the message on procrastination to us. And you may wonder, why are they the guest speakers today? It's because they have podcasted on this particular topic, not once, not twice. I think I know that one of them has actually talked about this in 3 parts. And so we are going to have them join us, share with us their personal examples on how they have dealt with procrastination head on, and any advice that they may have for us. So drum rolls, my friends, as we bring in our guest speakers today. And there we have two amazing youth speakers. We have in the house Isaiah who is a youth speaker and a trainer and also a podcaster, and Isaac, a youth speaker, trainer, and also a podcaster. And before I go into the details, let me invite each one of them. I'll give each one of them an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll give them a chance to go ahead and share with us what they have prepared for us. And I will start with Isaiah. Isaiah, we are going to have you on the spotlight. Introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do, and anything else that you'd like to share with us. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an opportunity to be here, and I'm grateful to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Isaiah, and I am a part of the John Maxwell Youth Program, and I have been podcasting since last May, and I have done over 70 podcasts, and it's an honor to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Isaiah. Did you say 70 something episodes? Wow, that is amazing. All right, congratulations. And I continue. When I grow up, I want to be like you, Isaiah. All right, Isaac.
Hello, my name is Isaac, and thank you so much for inviting me. I really have enjoyed it so far. And as kind of similar to Isaiah, I have over 70 podcasts as well. To be specific, 73, because I don't want you guys going over that. And yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Awesome. We appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for agreeing to be here tonight as we tackle this topic on procrastination. And without waiting any longer, we are going to bring in our first speaker, Isaiah. Isaiah has 79 podcasts, and just watching these young men, high schoolers, work on their podcast. They record about at least 2 or 3 podcasts a week. And they do this on their own. And especially when I listen to their podcast on procrastination, I was challenged. And every time I want to procrastinate, I remind myself some of the lessons that I've learned from them on this particular topic. So Isaiah, welcome and take us with you.
Thank you. Before I start, I would like to define the definition of procrastination, which is the action of delaying or postponing something, which means that most people tend to procrastinate out of these things, telling themselves they have more time and they'll just put it off to the side. So today I would like to clear the most misconcepted reasons of procrastination, which one of them is procrastinating because you work better under pressure, which means that some people tend to work faster and quicker because they feel rushed, which is not something you would really want to do, which keeps you to try to get as much as you can at once. Another one is procrastinating because being lazy, which some people are lethargic, but that doesn't really give you the reason to procrastinate. Also, procrastinating is a bad problem because of bad time management, which you can avoid. You can avoid this by making to-do lists and also prioritizing your time. Procrastinating because you don't have enough discipline can also be a thing, which you can also do by telling yourself what you need to do right now and what is important to you and knowing what you want in life. Another problem, another misconception is procrastinating because of not being able to prioritize your time or not having priorities at all. So what you want to do by avoiding procrastination is either having a to-do list or prioritizing your time, or even making a calendar on your phone. I believe most smartphones have calendars on their phones. And one of the things that you can do is picture this, prioritizing your time. Picture having a jar and you have three elements: sand, pebbles, and rocks. The rocks would be your most important things, such as work, or if you are religious, that would be one of the things. Pebbles would be the other necessary things that are just below what's important. And then the sand would be the things, if you have time for, you could do next, which you want to put the most important things first in the jar, which would be the rocks. And then next you would put the necessary things would be lower than the important things in next. And then the sand, which would fill up those gaps, which means that you have successfully filled up your day and prioritize what is most important and then what you'd like to do next, which are some of the most important things to avoid procrastination. Thank you guys for having me, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Isaiah. That was wonderful. That was great. Again, as we said, we'll bring you back to tell us a little bit more about where we can catch you, as well as any advice you have for anybody out there struggling with procrastination. Now, let me invite Isaac. Isaac, tell us what you have for us about procrastination.
Yeah, there are a few points that I have on procrastination, but so as you now know, procrastination is to put things aside knowing you have the ability to do it now. So when you choose to do something later instead of doing it now, that's procrastinating. It's the best example I can give you. But let me give you another example. Say you were told to do the dishes or to clean the dishes or to clean your room. And you said you were going to do it later because you had started a movie that you want to finish. If I was the one watching a movie and I was alone, if I was in the position, I would pause the movie, or the right thing to do would be to pause the movie and do them now. Because if you choose to do them later, that's procrastinating, and that's something that we all want to work on. And so there's a saying that I say when I feel like procrastinating, it's like tempting me to procrastinate. I say, do it now so you don't have to do it later. When I say that, I feel more motivated and upright to do it more and want to do it, because when I say that, I'm pushing myself and I'm having a positive mindset. And when you say that, you're bringing yourself up, like I said, saying do it now so you don't have to do it later. So don't be a procrastinator. Be a person to take initiative to do it now. Another point that I want to talk on is I actually just said initiative. Initiative means to have the ability to access and initiate things independently. Or in other words, taking advantage of something in a good way. Of course, you don't want to take advantage of something in a bad way. But getting back on topic, another point that I want to touch on is pushing yourself. In life, you should push yourself to do things and don't push things off to the side because just because you don't want to do it. In life, you should strive to be the best person that you know you can be, because there are people out there, and I myself is one of them, who sometimes fall victim, kind of like what Esther said, is falling victim to procrastination, which is something that I don't want to do and nobody wants to do because it's not good. And I actually have a funny quote by John Maxwell that talks about procrastination. Let me read it for you. It says, procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill. The reason why it's so funny is because it's very true. When you have a credit card, you can go spend anything you want until that paycheck or the bill comes in. It's just like, oh man, I should have had a limit, you know? So it's not fun having to get that bill right after you just had so much fun. But anyways, I also want to talk about impact. When you change yourself on the inside, you make a ripple effect that can go far beyond your own life. When you decide to change yourself and think about others, you will change the people around you. I actually have another quote. It's by Mother Teresa. It says, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples, by Mother Teresa. What that quote actually means to me is to change, not to change the people around. Don't go trying to change people saying, oh, you should like this, you should like that. You should change yourself before you change others. So that when you change yourself, you will impact your family. And then when you impact your family, you will go out and spread to the rest. For example, when you impact your family, you will change your neighborhood. When you change your neighborhood, you will change your city. From the city to country, the world, and so on. And society in general will just be changed, filled with good. So you want to make sure that you change yourself before you go out and change others. And I think that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Isaiah. Those were really well articulated and great points. So this is what you're going to do before we ask you. I'm sure our audience wants to know more about your podcast. And I would invite anybody who's not listened to them, please go back and listen to them. So we'll hold you in suspense a little bit longer. And I'll ask Essie here to tell us what comes to your mind or give us a point about procrastination. And yeah.
There's a book that I love by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. And he talks about procrastination, how you want to start or rather begin with the most uncomfortable tasks or difficult or unpleasant tasks. Tackle those in the beginning of the day when you have a lot of energy, when you have when you have to how do I say this? When you have a lot of strength, begin with those difficult tasks. And he refers to those as those big, ugly looking frogs. Eat those on the beginning of the day. And then finish the day with the fun things that are not as important, and also things that you can easily do when you're tired. You want to start with the things that are more important. For example, if you're preparing for a talk, you want to do your research and do your preparation when you're fresh, when you're energetic, when you're even able to do that, because either the environment is conducive for that kind of preparation. So having said that, eat that frog first. The ugly one, the big one, the nasty looking one. Do those things. And once those are done, then you can spend the rest of the day having fun and doing the other things that you could easily get by or get away with. All right. So contrary to popular belief, procrastination really isn't about laziness or lack of self-control. Procrastination is the act of avoidance or putting something back there, putting off something until later. And every person is guilty of procrastination. Every person, every one of us here, we all procrastinate. Every one of us is guilty of procrastinating at some point. And especially kids, they are very, very good at this, especially looking at our little stash here. Yeah, kids especially are prone to finding ways to evade tasks they don't want to do. But too often, procrastinators are misled, or rather are mislabeled as lazy. And this simply isn't accurate. If you're a procrastinator, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're lazy. So that leads us to the question, if procrastination is about laziness, or rather if it isn't about laziness, what is it about? Daniel, we will invite you to answer that question and also take us on to the next level.
Okay, thank you. So, and I think Isaiah alluded to the fact that procrastination is not necessarily laziness. Before I answer that, let me give you something that Dr. Pierre Steele, a professor of motivational psychology and author of The Procrastination Equation, How to Stop Putting Things Off and Start Getting Stuff Done. This is what he says: procrastination is a form of self-harm.
Mhm.
And he continues to say, when we procrastinate, we are not only aware that we are avoiding the task in question, keyword aware that we are avoiding the task in question, but also doing so is probably a bad idea, and yet we do it anyway. Dr. Fujiya Sarah, a professor of psychology at the University of Sheffield, attributes procrastination to an inability to manage negative moods around a task. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you don't know how to do it. It's not that you don't know that it needs to be done or there'll be consequences, but you just don't want to manage those negative moods around the task. Perfect example, today we were struggling with Stella eating, and at some point she was like, can I just get out, walk down there, and then come back? Or
Take the next bite.
and then take the next bite. Okay. You come back and the food is still there waiting for you. Next, can I just go to the bathroom? We both know that you just went to the bathroom. So when it comes down to it, procrastination isn't a unique character flaw or an inability to manage time, but a way of coping with challenging emotions and negative moods induced by certain tasks. Those moods can be boredom, it can be anxiety, insecurity, frustration, resentment, self-doubt, and beyond. So ask yourself, first of all, are you surprised by this assessment? And do you agree with this explanation? Let's hear in the comments. If you're watching this as a recording later, please comment and let us know what you think about that. And also, out of those, whether it's boredom, anxiety, insecurity, frustration, resentment, self-doubt, what is it that makes you put things off until later? So, for these and many more, if you are listening to this in one of our groups or our page, there will be a link where you can sign up and get these delivered in your inbox if you so prefer. Otherwise, we'll be posting for the next 90 days starting last week. So 83 days. I have to do some math here. We will be posting about procrastination. We'd love to hear your experience and what you think. So let's keep the conversation going. Now, before we finish, I would like to invite our two young men here again. Isaiah, will you go first? Tell us the name of your podcast, where we can listen to it, and what advice you have for anybody struggling with procrastination. And after that, we'll go to Isaac, do the same thing, and then we'll conclude this. So Isaiah, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to start off with my podcast. The name is Isaiah Speaks, and you can find this on anchor.fm or Spotify. And I also think there should be a link down below. What I would recommend to everybody is that if you are trying to avoid procrastination and you just know that you might procrastinate or you are busy doing something else, I would suggest putting things in chunks and starting off with one thing and then doing another and another until you're done, so that you won't overload your mind, and also taking breaks. so that you can regather your thoughts and so that you're ready to start on another part. Or if it to be, if somebody asks you to do something and you are tempted to procrastinate, I would suggest doing that thing now so you won't have to do it later, which Isaac had mentioned. It's something good to keep in mind, because you can put something to the side and then you can forget. I know that some people may be forgetful and might forget what they had told somebody, which will leave you to be untruthful, kind of, because you forgot. And you can see this very common in some people and or families, where people tend to forget what they were told to do or told somebody that they were going to do. So do it now so you don't have to do it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you so much for that. And now, Isaac, same thing. Tell us where we can find your podcast and what advice you have for anyone who's struggling with procrastination.
All right. So, hi, once again. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll say that once more. You can find my podcast anywhere, on Anchor, being more specific, Spotify, Apple Music, and it's called Isaac.m Speaks. And advice that I have for people watching is choose to do it now so you don't have to do it later. Also like to touch base on what Esther said earlier. She said how procrastination doesn't make you who you are. I can add that what you can say is that procrastination doesn't define who you are or define your name, saying, oh, Isaac, oh, who is he? Someone, or for example, if someone asks, who is Isaac? Oh, Isaiah, he's a procrastinator. He also has many other titles. No, that's not how you would say that. You don't define someone by what they do or their mistakes. You define someone by the best person they are. So I would say, for example, for people watching, I would say, remember that it's always a choice. Whatever you choose to do will affect you later in the future. Like for me, I have my school. If I don't do my school well, in the future I won't get a good job and do other things. So when you do good now, you will succeed later in life. So thank you once again.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much. And as we come to the end, first of all, I want to thank our two guests, Isaiah and Isaac. Good job. Thank you so much for handling this so well and so competently. Let me encourage any parents out there. Engage your kids. See, these young men started podcasting, and now their podcast channels actually have a bigger following than ours. And here we are catching up with them. Mm-hmm. And also, should you ever need a youth speaker, we have some in-house here. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll make sure that the invitation gets to them. They have a lot and a wealth of information, whether you need a youth speaker or a youth trainer, or even a youth coach. We do have them here. So thank you so much. Feel free to reach out to us. We will post the link with their podcast as well, and as we continue through this journey. Essie, anything to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thank you so much for sharing your evening or your time with us. And Isaiah and Isaac, we are so thankful for you. Thank you for being our teachers and our mentors as well. We thank God for you, and greater and brighter days are ahead. So keep doing what you're doing. Over to you.
All right, so that's it. Thank you. Let's meet again next Tuesday as we continue with Leaders Connect series. If you would like to learn more about procrastination, we will have a link where you can sign up and we will send you something in your inbox, or just keep tuned in on one of our Aspire Global Leadership groups, and we will be more than happy to walk this journey with you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.